Now available on Lulu. John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue. I'm starting to understand why the comic book industry is in the complete ruins that it's in. And I'm starting to see, based on the people who work in the comic book industry, many of these individuals really don't understand basic standards as related to professionalism, and that's the reason why we're getting so many poor quality comics coming out of American comic book publishers. Now, I was on Facebook the other day when Gail Simone decided to post a Facebook post talking about how she tries to write stories to accommodate artists. And in her post, she talked about how if an artist didn't like drawing cars, then she would try to write the story in a way to cater to that artist. And if they didn't like drawing a lot of backgrounds and animals, she would try to write the story to accommodate them. Well, that type of thinking is the type of thinking that's not going to get you many art jobs in the real world, because in the real world, an artist has to go out here and draw whatever the publisher presents to them in their concept. And if you don't want to draw what the publisher presents in their concept, then you have the option of refusing to take that job. And if you choose to refuse to take that job, then you have to deal with the fact that you may wind up losing a good paying job to your competitors, and they may be the ones spending your money. Now, when I listened to Gail Simone's post, it just showed me how completely out of touch this woman, who some say is a part of the Whisper Network, is with the real world of professional publishing. Because in the real world of professional publishing, when it comes down to art jobs are very hard to get, even harder to get than your Starbucks jobs or your jobs at Target or even your job at the local store. I mean, it's very hard to get these jobs because artists have to deal with a lot of competition, and with you having to deal with a lot of competition, you have to understand that if when you are offered a job, this is a rare opportunity because these jobs don't come along that long. And in the whole business of comics and even the general art for even publishing, you have to understand you're dealing with a lot of stiff competition, and you can't really sit there and talk about what you don't want to draw when the whole thing is that this is how you're going to get your bills paid, and this is how you're going to be able to go out here and do basic things like eat and be able to pay your rent. And when it comes to an artist, you can't sit there and say, oh, I don't like drawing these cars if I'm working on a project. I don't like drawing races. I don't like drawing chase scenes. No, you can't go around telling a publisher that how to do their concepts. If they give you they bless you with the opportunity to be even able to work on one of their projects, you need to be just grateful for that. Because again, when it comes down to art projects, they're even with all the Kickstarters, all the crowdfunding, there are not a lot of projects out there and not a lot of opportunities out there for you as if you're an artist. And for you to sit there and again complain about a project, again, it's not really good for you overall, because again, the publisher's job is to get the project out in a way that presents their concept, and they're going to look for the person who can go out here and present their concept. and get their concept out in a way that basically fits what they're looking for. Now, I've been working with artists for over 14 years, and as I've worked with artists for over 14 years, I haven't really had that problem of ever an artist telling me what they didn't or what they did like as related to things. No, when I work with artists, again, it's a professional relationship where I give them a concept, and if they want the concept, they have the option of, again, saying, hey, I'll do this concept, or refusing that concept. Those are the options that they have as related to that job. However, when it comes down to compete, again, these jobs, again, a lot of artists want to take a job because, again, they understand it's stiff competition out here for gigs. It's very stiff competition for gigs that will give you credits that you can put into your portfolio. It's very hard to, again, get these gigs, and when you get offers, you can't really, again, go off here and blow and start talking about what you want to do with somebody else's stuff. No, you can't sit there and start talking about what you want to do on somebody else's project when they're the ones paying you money, and those jobs are hard to get as it is. I mean, it's when you look at commercial art, as I have as a publisher, it's very hard to, again, go out here and be able to get it's very hard to find these type of jobs, and it's also hard to even find artists because, again, a lot of artists out here, they're already, again, it's hard for them to get work, but it's harder, again, to find artists you want to work with. I mean, it's really hard out here, and Gail Simone, again, out of touch with reality as related to artists and the world of commercial art. She's really out of touch, and again, that's what I'm seeing with the comic book industry. A lot of the people working there are completely out of touch as related to this business, and with them being completely out of touch as related to business, you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, I want to cater to this artist. No, that's not how it goes in the real world. No, when a publisher presents you a concept for a story, or they present you a concept for a cover, again, they're expecting you to give us an interpretation that fits the concept and allows us to be able to create a commercial cover or a commercial product that we can go out here and sell. That's what we're looking for, and we're looking for somebody who, again, if they're offered a job and I give you a story and it's got a race in it with cars, we're expecting you to draw that race in a way that basically tells that story. If there's a story with a lot of animals, then we're expecting you to tell that story. That's what you're being paid to do. You don't get to come in and talk about, well, I really don't like drawing things. No, you were hired to do commercial work, and you were hired to do commercial work up to a standard. But that's not what we see in the comic book industry with a lot of professionals, so-called, because they don't understand part of professionalism is making sure your work gets up to a standard that is satisfactory to a publisher, that will allow you to, again, impress that publisher, and also allow you to build word of mouth as related to yourself, build word of mouth as related to your reputation, build word of mouth as related to your brand, because you are a brand. And again, one of the things that can cost an artist a job is being somebody who, again, wants to come in and start talking to a publisher about how they want to bring in some sort of ideas, again, as related to the publisher's concept. That can either get you not on the job, or it can basically make it where people start looking at you with a side eye. I mean, artists like that really don't wind up working out because, again, or working much in the business, because in the business, again, it's not about what you want. You may get a chance to be able to put your style on something, and you may be able to put your style on certain things. That's the autonomy and leeway that you're given, but you're expected to go out here and do things like, one, keep characters on model, two, go out here and make sure that that it fits the original concept that the publisher wanted, Again, this is how you keep your reputation. This is how you build your brand as an artist. And again, I listened to Gail Simone in that post, and again, it just showed me how touch she is as related to how the world of publishing works, and shows me why the comic book industry is in the dire mess that it's in, because this whisper network of idiots basically don't understand how the business works as related to commercial art. I mean, how it works in the world of business for commercial art, again, is you have to, again, respect the publisher by staying on concept and drawing what the publisher asks for. And if you don't want to draw what the publisher asks for, guess what? You have the option in the beginning of refusing the job, or you can, again, basically take the job, but you can't complain about what the person is asking you to do, because that person is asking you, again, to give them their time in exchange for their money, and they're paying you for a service. But many in the comic book industry, because they believe that their positions are taken for granted, again, don't understand how it works in the world of work as related to competing in the workforce. Again, when it comes down to artists out here, artists have to compete for jobs. And again, you face stiff competition because you have veteran artists looking for work, you have rookie artists looking for work. And again, because so many people are looking for work, you can't go out here and talk about what you want to do on somebody else's project, because if you talk about what you want to do on somebody else's project, that's the fastest way to either not be considered for that job or wind up getting fired from a really good job. Now, some people, they got mad when I was on Facebook and called out Gail Simone, but I don't care how prominent she thinks she is. There are rules to this business, and with there being rules to this business from publishers like myself, again, we have standards we have to meet as related to making sure that the art we put on our covers or in our interiors are of the highest quality. And again, the people we want to deal with who can meet that standard, and meet that standard within a specified deadline, so that we can go out here and ensure that customers get products on time and get the books that they want to read on time. That's what we're about. And again, many in the comic book industry seem to think that the industry is supposed to cater to them, like Gail Simone and the artists she works with. But that's not how it works in the real world. No, it doesn't work in the real world like that at all. Because in the real world, a publisher is looking for talent that's going to go out here and get their work done. And we don't have time to deal with people talking about what they don't like as related to our concepts. No, if we have a concept and you want to add something and you want to make it better, yeah, we'll listen to those suggestions. But the whole thing is that if you're going to start coming in talking about you don't want to draw something, yeah, that's not somebody I need to work with to give me grief or even spend more time on, because I've got deadlines I need to complete. And again, when I look at the comic book industry, I can see why it's in complete shambles, because it doesn't have any standards. And the only time it did have some standards was when Jim Shooter was running things in the 1980s, when he was trying to get things to be under the same standards that publishing houses had to meet. Because in publishing houses, again, artists can't sit there and talk about what they want as related to things. No, they can't come in there and do that. No, that's the fastest way to be shown the door in trade publishing, is to start talking about what you don't like to do. No, people in trade publishing understand, hey, if we get an offer of a cover, yeah, I better take that seriously, because this person, if they're offering me this job, these jobs are few and far between, and good paying jobs, again, this is how you get your rent paid. And again, if you start acting real weird and acting real funny, guess what? Somebody else is going to get your paycheck, and somebody else is going to get your credits. That's how it works in the world of trade publishing. That's how it works even in the world of self-publishing. Again, if you sit there and talk about what you want to do, you're going to watch as somebody else gets your job, somebody else gets your pay, and that's something that again shows me again how out of touch Gail Simone is, and all of those folks in the Whisper Network and all of the people who want to bootleg her. Again, they don't understand how it works in this publishing business as related to artists, as related to writers. If you can get yourself an opportunity, you need to go out here and make a strong impression, not only with the publisher you're working at, but go out here and present yourself in a professional way, because this is how you're going to build your reputation and be able to get those gigs and get those opportunities at those gigs before they wind up getting listed, because the easiest way to get jobs in this business is with word of mouth. And once the word of mouth gets out that, oh, okay, this guy, he can get a concept out on time, he can get a concept out and it can meet a high standard, he can get a concept, or she can get a concept out and it met what the people wanted as related to concept, guess what? The jobs are going to start coming in, the requests for jobs are going to come in, and you're going to be able to go out here and make a good living as an artist or even as a writer. And that's what you want to do as related to your reputation. And again, you don't get to come in talking about what you want to do unless you're the one who's pitching the project. And even then, again, it's the publisher gets the final say as related to everything. So when I listened to Gail Simone on Facebook again making that post, I saw her again showing how out of touch she is with how it works in the publishing world. And as a publisher myself, who again has worked with many artists over 14 years, I understand that again, I need to be professional and respect the talent, and I've respected the talent. Again, I have given them leeway as related to, again, their interpretations of things, even as related to things, but there are standards that need to be maintained, like staying on model and, again, staying on concept. Those are things that are not, again, negotiable as related to me. And again, if you want the project, then you take what's given to you. And if you don't want the project, you have that right to refuse. And again, this is just basic professionalism as related to working in the arts. And sadly, many in the comic book industry have no understanding of what it means to be professional as related to working in the business of the arts. Now, if you want to pick up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Store, you can find that comic on Lulu.com in paperback, and you can get it for the same price as the 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to get my first full comic, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for just 99 cents. And you can also pick it up in the Esteem series book, Esteem Blast from the Past. And if you want to pick up many of my books that feature the work of comic artists that I've worked with for the last 15 years, you can find them on Amazon.com in paperback. And you can see their art on the covers of many of my books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com and other online booksellers. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this all-new Spinsterella story. Pre-order your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.